Hello, 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 and welcome to the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. We co-host this podcast. We talk all things South African cricket. This week, we're talking CSA 4-day series, which is important because this is the start of the new provincial system from the longer format of the game. It started on Friday. We had 4 games over the weekend, and some places there were crowds allowed. I know at the Wanderers, people were allowed if you wanted to come through, bring a vaccination card and your ID, and you could sit there. And as Tim is thinking, see how progressive we are up here in the north.
What?
Yes, we're very progressive in the north up here. And I obviously I didn't have time to get through, but over the coming weekends and everything else, we will get there. Outside of that, we've also had other games happening as well in the Division 2, Division 1 and Division 2 happening. We're going to talk about that. Tim, how has your weekend been watching the cricket?
That's been really good. I would like to say that I thought the Cape was quite relaxed in this sort of thinking, but there were no fans allowed at Newlands. It wasn't even seamless for me to get in. So yeah, hopefully that will change the coming weeks.
Hopefully that will change. And so let's go into the first game, which was the one that gave us the result, the one that was up here at the Wanderers. It's Imperial Lions playing the Northwest Dragons. Tim, just to give you a sense, the Dragons were put into bat. They only scored 159. The Lions then responded with a 408. And then the Northwest was bowled out for 171, which gave them which gave the Lions an innings and 72-run win. A couple of standout performances there. Wesley Marshall, we can't talk about that 24-run over enough. We also can't talk about Nicky van den Berg from the Northwest, who scored a half century in both, 41 in the first innings and 17 other innings. But from a Lions perspective, Duan Olivier, Luto Sipamla, Sasanda Magala, and Malusi Siboto, that pace quartet is pretty much as good as anybody else. And then the Ryan Rickleton, the captain of the T20 side, scoring that 152. How was that for you?
Dude, it was the pace attack for me. The pace attack, one after the other, after the other, after the other. I must say, and I know he's not everybody's favourite, and that's fair enough, but seeing Tuan Olivier back in South African cricket was lovely to see. He was easily 3 or 4 clicks faster than anyone else. If you just by watching on the live stream, you could see the Northwest guys were not comfortable facing him. Even somebody like Wesley Marshall, who did manage to hit him for a 6, but even he was having to wait, having to be a little bit more cautious than he would normally be when Tuan played. But they all did well there. Saboto, Magala was excellent. Just the whole, as I say, it was like a West Indian bowling attack of the 80s. They're all bowled quickly. And we'll love Rickleton on this podcast. Really good to see him back in the runs. Knocking on that door just that little bit harder now, which is good to see.
Yes, and it is very good to see because obviously the Lions had a very bad T20 challenge or tournament, and they got knocked out in the group stage. So they've had like a month to prepare, but good to see that, they didn't waste the time and they asserted themselves as front runners in this tournament, especially with that bowling attack. They didn't need a spinner, and they just went out with that pace quartet and they did it quite well. Another team that came through and won this weekend were the G-Bets Warriors. I on Friday or Thursday said that I didn't think the Warriors were going to beat the Titans, but somehow the G-Bets, or not somehow, they did beat the Mentor Multiply Titans. They went in today, I think needing 53 with 2 wickets in hand. and he managed to get to that with just the loss of one wicket in that game. A couple of notable performances: Simon Harmer's 3 for 62 in the first innings, but in the Titans scored 134. Jordan Herman, whose brother is Ruben Herman, playing for Mpumalanga, he scored 50 in that game. And then the Warriors scored 258. Eddie Moore's 110. Kind of like a reminder that he's still a very good opener, and welcome back, Eddie Moore. Diego Rozier's 85, a very good cricketer who couldn't find a home, struggled for a couple of years, but now he's back in the reckoning in the runs. From a bowling perspective, the Warriors 534 for Glenn Steelman in that first innings. Marco Janssen's three wickets as well. The Titans then replied with 359. Sibs Makanya scoring 74. Jordan Hanman, who looks a really good prospect right now in that middle order, with 62. Coming through, Dan Khalim with a 47. Corbin Bosch with a 40. But Ntua Kayanabe was the hero there, 4 for 89, kind of just keeping the Warriors above water. And then obviously in this innings, the Warriors needing 236 to win, and they made a fist of it. They didn't go that well for them. At one point, they were 7 for 180, needing around about 53 to win. When Marco Jansen went out, Marco Jansen scored a half century, 55. Mwepe scored 52. Tian van Vuren scored 32. And some handy contributions in the lower order there. What a game was that, Tim? It was very good, an entertaining game from in Centurion.
Because of the rain that's currently happening in Lulitz, this was probably the game of the weekend. Could have gone either way. The Titans looked, as you say, looked like they might pitch it. 180 for 7, and you thought 180 for 7, Simon Harmer on a fourth day pitch. And you know what? Simon Harmer did not come to the party. He did not come to the party. 11 overs, nothing for 61. Just repeat that. 11 overs, nothing for 61.
But we told you, I thought he was the best off spinner in the world.
No, look. I think he will come good the rest of the season. I think this is round 1, and the anti-Harmer brigade can build up. That's absolutely fine with me, 100%. But yeah, I thought he bowled a bit too fast in this innings. It was like he was trying to make something happen instead of just putting the ball at the spot. I thought he bowled better at the first innings. Eddie Moore, 110. Look, Eddie's been doing it now for a good 2 or 3 years. There's going to come a time when Dean Elgar is going to retire, and there aren't that many openers who have the ability of Eddie Moore's for me. I know this is a bigger subject, but what our South African A side looks like against India is going to be very interesting, because there are a lot of guys around that 26, 27, 28 years old who are now doing well, knocking down the door. On the game itself, 180 for 7, the partnership, Marco Jansen and Kopi. That was the partnership of 82. That was the changing of the match. If those guys had not come together, Marco Jansen did well with the ball, provide with the bat as well. That was the turning point. Really good to see. Really good to see a powerhouse, if you like, Dr. Fitzperch, with the compact guys, the more senior guys like Tinnis the Brain. So it was really good to see. A real hard-fought victory, right to the wire. It was really entertaining.
The team the Warriors remind me of is a character of that Sri Lanka team, where they can beat you in many different ways, and they can front up to the challenge, and they're very street smart. And that's what I think you saw this weekend was how street smart they were. The evolution of Clinton Steelman. A lot of people have forgotten about him from a South African Test team perspective, but I think he's done an incredible job to put his name up there. Everyone's talking Othniel Bartman, everyone's talking Marco Jansen, everyone's talking Duan Olivier, but he came through. He was with an incredible performance. Ntiwe Kayanabe with that 4 for 89. He needs to be looked into as an SAA prospect, but for me, that team, and then on top of that, you've got that team bats deep. I'm happy, Robbie. Thank you for giving Gavelo Sekukune an opportunity, a debut. That was really awesome. Yes, he didn't score that many runs, but I do hope that the run comes. You give him, and the one thing I love about this Warriors team, which is like my second team, which is why I'm going to be conflicted come Friday because they play the Lions, is the fact that the guys in that team, they play as a team. They are super talented. And Robbie's just getting the best out of these guys. The Warriors are just that team where you don't know how what you every time you play them, you must play them at your best because you kind of don't know where your level has to be to kind of beat them. Because they come out and they play to your level. That's how good they are. And I really did enjoy that. I really did enjoy that win for them this morning. Happy for Lesiba getting runs there in the lower order, as well as Glenn Steeman getting those wickets there. Marco Jansen kind of giving us that all-round option. It's a possibility if you want to move off from Vian. I obviously wouldn't say you can do that, but if you're looking for guys, lower order hitters who can score runs, him and Vian, I think, are a little bit closer than what many people are thinking. And the one thing is that you've seen how good Vian's become as a bowler with all that time under Shah Langerveld. Maybe it's time to maybe give Marco some time under Shah Langerveld as well. Not saying Vian's not a bad player, but some competition at a Proteas level will not hurt for that number 6, number 7 role that can bowl as well. I still do think Marco Jansen, yes, he's batting at 7, or slightly lower down the order. I do think that he can improve. But so far, he's done really well. He's put his hand up, and that's who we're talking about today. It's guys who put their hands up as well. Yes, Tim?
Just the other thing to point out is when the T20 competition came about, Mnyaka, the left-arm pace bowler, got injured, and Robbie had to go and find somebody, and he bought Tian van Vuren. Now, Tian van Vuren, he went a bit expensively in the T20 competition, but he came and he was selected for this match, bowled well, and right at the end there, when it was looking like again like Titans might sneak the win, he made, I think, 24 of about 26 balls, something like that. Right at ball 25, 26.
Yeah.
Which completely changed the complexion of the game once again. So he's
so to get it for you, Tian van Vuren 32 of 34. 6 4 and 1 in this morning. I must have had Robbie's mouth in his hat in his mouth there. But he batted really well, and that's what I love about this team is that their application goes down to number 8. Some teams, their application goes down to number 6, but he really well. Another thing that we didn't talk about earlier on in the lines, Malusi Subota scored a 50. He's been a very good batsman throughout the past couple of years, and he's also a bowler who I think has missed out on a Proteas call-up. He's been the number 1 wicket taker, I think, 2 seasons ago, and so good to see that they're all back. I don't know who's going to be the number 1 wicket taker on that line side because I don't like it's packed, but I think he needs a mention. Eddie Moore, well done. Keep going. 1,000-run season will make sure that the selectors do not ignore you. That's essentially what it is. If you want to make it into the Proteas side, score between 700 and 1,000 runs, and if they say no to you, then you know they have a vendetta against you or you've done something wrong. So that's all we want. Eddie Moore, keep going. Right now, Reynard van Tonder didn't score that many runs. The Sarel Avid didn't do quite well on the other end. So yeah, keep going like that, and let's see. Let's talk about the game that was affected by rain. Not rain. We'll talk about that. The third Division 1 game was the iTech Knights against the GPETS Rocks in in Bloom, not Kimberley. They'd be playing in Kimberley if it was the Knights franchise. I don't have the current scorecard up now, but what I can tell you is that this game is headed for a draw. Currently, the Rocks declared on 520 after the Knights set them 320 all out. I'm just going to go through a couple of the scorecards for you. Piet van Biljon, 137 runs for the Knights there. 49 from Matthew Kleinvak. Jacques Sneeman scored a 32 of 30, which is Jacques Sneeman-esque. And then from a bowling perspective, Hardest for Loon with 4 wickets of 62 runs. And then it was 2 wickets for Abrams, 2 for Sean van Berg, and Zakele Kwabe scored 2 in that first innings. Then the Rocks came in and rocked them big time. And the man who rocked them, Yanaman Malan, scoring 200 runs off 319 balls. Farisco Adams supported him there with 127 there, batting at number 8. That was really awesome to watch there, Tim. Really, really good statement from Yanaman Malan with that double century. And then the Knights today, 143 for 2. Kleinfeld, 31. Jacques Sneeman was out on 49. And you had the 2 batsmen who are not out currently, Van Tonder and Piet van Biljon. From a wickets perspective for the Knights against in that Rocks innings, it was 3 wickets for Budaza. As always, he's also always in the wickets. Miguel Petros took 2, and Neelan van Heerden took 3. How do you feel about Yanaman Malan scoring 200 at number 4?
I think it's a masterstroke, either by Adrian Burrell or by himself. I think he thought, you know what? I want to get into this Proteas side, but I don't want to be a bit part player. I don't want to be the guy that goes on as the reserve opener if somebody gets injured. I want to be in that side. And the way to get in that side is that middle order. 3, 4, 5, and 6. There is a lot of spaces available. Nothing about the middle order is sealed in the test format anyway. So for me, he's going, you know what? I need to get in the middle order. And I need to dominate. And boy, did he dominate. And he dominated people we've always been not saying how good they are. Joel Kutsia and Michael Pretorius. 2 of the young, up-and-coming bright stars of South African fast bowling. They were 230 for 7. Borland, the Rocks, 230 for 7. And I don't know what their coaching setup was, but Jacques Sneeman bowling 43 overs, nothing for 124. Now, Jacques not the worst, but bowling 43 overs is a problem. That is a huge problem. But that aside, wonderful innings from Yanaman. I've always been a fan of him.
Well,
really good. Really good to see him in the ranks. Really good to see him in the ranks.
Let's look at this Knights team. So they actually don't have a recognized spinner in the side, and that's disappointing. Obviously, after speaking to Sean van Berg.
Well, don't let it go. Don't let it go. They said, yeah. I don't know why they let it go.
Yeah, but I don't know why Gregory Matlokwana is not playing. In that case, because the idea that Jacques Sneeman is a capable off spinner in this format is you can try get away with it, but I'm not sure. I really am not sure. And to a certain extent, 43 overs, nothing for how much did he get? Did he score in that game?
124.
That's criminal, and to a certain extent,
that's for me, madness.
Guys, you've got a spinner who can bowl with both hands, and you don't want to pick it. So I think the Knights Alan Donald's gonna have to go back and figure it out, because had the Rocks batted first, I think they would have found themselves in a little bit of trouble. But the other good thing is that their batting kind of holds up. It's just their bowling isn't potent enough. So too with the Rox's bowling. It isn't potent enough to kind of get those wickets, because to win 4-day games, you kind of need to restrict teams to under 300. That's kind of like the sweet spot, around about 250. 250, between 250 and 300 in that first innings, to give you enough time to put up the 520s. And so that's also kind of quite an interesting situation there. Really, really intriguing game it was, but not enough. Truly not enough. So one of the other games that is still in progress right now as we do this show, Tim, is the one that's at Newlands, largely because of the rain around. You've had Western Province against the Dolphins. The Dolphins, Western Province scored. The Dolphins scored 489 for 8 declared. Then Province scored 269, and the Dolphins made them follow on. They're currently 190 for 7. Yassine Vali scored 76 in the second innings. Devin Bettingham, as you said, Tim, scored 2 half centuries across both innings. But from a Dolphins perspective, it was Bryce Parsons on 45, Keegan Peterson 56, Kaya Zondo 203 of 299 balls, Jason Smith 101 of 191 balls, batting both at 5 and 6. Tim, we're talking about that middle order being open. We're seeing guys scoring double centuries. Yanaman scored a double century. Kaya Zondo scored a double century at Newlands. Jason Smith scored 100. Jason Smith's probably looking for that all-round spot. I don't know. And Kaya Zondo's asking to be selected in that side. What can bring all three of those guys? So let's talk about the middle order. Kaya Zondo's runs were very, very good. Really good to see him come back in a year that his name's been spoken about a lot, and not in the most positive light. How did you feel seeing him score that 100, that double century?
No, it was really good. It was a statement innings, wasn't it? As you say, with everything that's gone on off the field the last year, discussions that have been had, and selection, non-selection, I'm sure that has been playing on in his mind, not only when it happened, but it's been re-spoken about, if you like, at the SGN hearings. And I'm sure at the back of his mind, he's been going, you know what? I want to prove to everybody, prove to these people who don't respect me, who don't think I'm good enough, that I am good enough. At 200 against what I regard as a very good bowling attack, Province, with the experience that they have, experienced guys, that's a statement innings. Definitely impressive innings. Again, Jason Smith as well. Again, I know I've said this before. He just looks happier. He just looks more content. He just looks more
look,
content.
The water's warmer in Durban, man. The water's warmer in Durban.
I saw very few flashy ball shots. He's not the most. What's the word? He doesn't move his feet as much as I would like him at times. He relies too much on his eye, which he's got a very good eye. But I just think sometimes, especially early on, he relies too much on that. But there was none of that in this innings. Solidly from the beginning, built it beautifully. Really good, solid innings. I don't want to see him in an all-rounder role. I've said this before. Batsman. He's a batsman, and if you absolutely desperately need 3 or 4 overs, fine. But he's not an all-rounder for me. You just have to look at the overs that he bowled in this match. He bowled very, very few overs in this match.
He bowled 3.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm loving.
Well, he bowled 3 in the first innings, and he's bowled 4 in the second innings.
Well, I'm loving that.
So that kind of tells you a lot.
If you want Connie continues with that, I'm very happy. That's his role. That is absolutely perfect. Okay, finally, David Bellingham. Okay,
wait. Before we go to David Bellingham, on the Dolphins side, from a bowling perspective, Darren Dupavillon coming through in that second innings with 4 wickets. But Bryce Parsons in that first innings, 5 for 82. Could he be the all-round option South Africa are looking for? A guy who bats at the top, but also is a very dependable spinner.
I'd much rather see him in that all-rounder role than Jason Smith. Much more suited, much better equipped, I think, in a general sense. I was very impressed with his bowling yesterday with his 5 wickets really, really accurately. When Parnell was looking to let his shoulders go and go big and fight fire with fire, Bryce was not having it. Bryce said, "No, I'm not having you smack me over my head for 6." Kept it tight, kept it accurate, and caused the province lower order in particular all sorts of bother. They had no answer to him. I was very impressed with his bowling performance in particular, and he just looks like a man who is he's a nuggety cricketer, nuggety, determined. He doesn't let things slide. So he didn't let things slide. So when he took a hit for 4, he was angry. He didn't just let it go. Oh, that's fine. He was angry with himself, which is good to see. Good to see.
That is truly good to see. I'm a fan of Bryce Parsons. 2 things about Western Province. David Bedingham coming through. That top order not firing as well, but David Bedingham being the guy to kind of paper over the cracks for now.
It was always going to be the case. Look, we know Province need more runs from Tony on a consistent basis, in particular. But David Bedingham is just a class above for me. I mean, both innings were runnable 50, and he just showed the difference between the rest for me. Okay, he didn't make the 200, but his innings, in that way that he did, he dominated the bowlers. He didn't let anybody settle, didn't let anyone settle in. He said, well, for as long as I'm here, I am Top Gun. I am the most important player here. It was an amazing to see. When you consider that he was averaging 50 before he left, he's a better player now. And if you happened to see it on the live stream, even if you watched 10 minutes of it, it was there. It was there to be seen that there's a difference between a good player and somebody like that who is clearly ready for international cricket.
A man who I like to see in the runs is Yassine Vali, who scored 76 in that second innings. Wayne Parnell scored 79 in the first innings. But it was his bowling that disappointed you there, Tim.
Yeah, as I said earlier, Wayne has been the lifeblood of this Province side. He's literally been back for 5 minutes and he's already the most important. So if his performance drops, the team's dropped. That tended to happen. It was not entirely his fault with the bowling because he had to fight fires all the time. So Bashir Waters didn't, just going through the motions. Andre Berger was okay. So he's always having to go G them up, if you like. He's always have to go, right, it's my turn. I've got to dominate. Where particularly in this role, he actually needs to be the second guy. He needs somebody like Andre Berger to actually get those early wickets. So
even like the third bowler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's I think where that Western Province team's bowling lineup kind of falters a little is that they don't. There's the spearhead that should either be Bjorn Hendricks or Andre Berger cannot be Wayne Parnell. Wayne should actually be at number 7, bowling as a second change bowler, and also with a guy like Bashir Walters. I would assume. I know they don't want to go all lefties, but I do think you may need to embrace the left side with Parnell, Nandre, and Bjorn Hendricks, and just be the team with left arm seamers. because they're your best bowlers, your best quicks. I don't see a world where Bashir Walters pips out any of those three that I've mentioned. So I just don't get that balance right now. But Tim,
I
let's move over
was.
to yes.
I'll just Flynn. I'll just say that Buren was bowling at the lunchtime breaks every day. So you might find he might play on Friday against the Rocks.
Yes, in that
So,
derby. Yes. So now moving over, Tim, let's move over to the Division 2 game between the Tuskers and the Eastern Storm that happened in Pietermaritzburg. No rain there, but we have a winner. And the winner of that game were the Tuskers. The Tuskers coming in, batting first. Luke Schlemmer scoring 153, Andile Mokhakane scoring 98, Tian Kukunmu with a 64, and Cameron Delport batting at 7. Yes. Yeah, at 6, yes, not 7. Scoring 65 off 65. KZN in England looking to have their balance sorted here. Scoring 440 for 6. The Easterns were on all sorts with only Tumelo Tlokwe taking 2 wickets. They're 2 for 57. Easton's in reply, only managing 107. It looks like a telephone number does that with only Sizwe Masondo, the wicketkeeper, top scoring with 22. Bowling, Keith Dudgeon, remember him? He's played a lot of franchise cricket for the Dolphins, taking 4 for 25. Kirtland Manikam taking 3 for 23. And then you had, in reply, following on, the Easterns who couldn't get to that target, a much better effort there. They scored 224. That middle order of Kulentianos, Thompson, and Snyman coming through a little bit with 62 to Kulentianos, 20 to Thompson, and 64 to Snyman. And then from a bowling perspective, Michael Erlang taking 5 for 67, but Keith Dudgeon taking a 3 for 32. Tim, we talk about Division 2 because we want to highlight. It doesn't mean some of the guys are not necessarily Proteas quality, but some guys are Division 1 quality. And you saw that with Luke Schlemmer. You've spoken about Luke Schlemmer and Mokhakane through before the T20. You thought they'd do something, they didn't. And in the 4-day game, here they are. What do you make of those performances?
Yeah, it's a pity they waited. They could have done it a couple of weeks earlier. Boys. But I'm glad they came through in the end. I'm glad they performed. As you said, look, I think it is going forward. We are going to try and talk about the Division 2 sides as much as possible because I don't think they're necessarily going to get the exposure that they need to. But it is important. I do think that people like Luke Schlemmer, Keith Dudgeon are Division 1 players playing Division 2. Cameron Delport as well. So it's important, and I'm glad that those guys are there at the moment anyway, which is giving the Division 2 guys, showing them how to do it, how good they need to be, the processes that they need to follow. The fact that Cameron Delport is batting 6 in a Division 2 team is wild. I mean, it is wild. I mean, it's probably right because it suits the team nicely. But it's wild, really.
Look, it's very clever because you just tell Cameron Delport to just go into T20 mode, and the quality of the bowling here enables him to go into T20 mode, especially when bowlers are tired. Tim, let's move over to that final game. Limpopo Impalas and Eastern Cape Lanyati. The one game that is on the go that's happening right now. There's a rain delay in Cape Town, even though the province are 30 runs behind with 3 wickets. We're going to hope for a result there. But you've got the Impalas and Eastern Cape Lanyati going. Eastern Cape had to declare to kind of get this game going forward a little bit. So the Lanyati started. They batted first. They scored 392. Marco Murray, we said this was a step down. He scored 146. That's the type of performance you want to see from a player who should be playing in Division 1, that domination. Jerome Bosser, the opener, scoring 94 as well, of 341 balls. Very interesting to see how that pitch in Polokwane has been playing. It's just a very slow batting, but a very good result. From a bowling perspective for Limpopo, to Tamsang Rapelejo, taking 4 for 56. He was the pick of the bowlers. Then the Impalas came through, only scored 192. The top scorer there was Malcolm Norfall of 8 with 58, but Thomas Kaber, 6 for 75 in his 32 overs, a really standout bowling performance from a Division 2 side. The Linyati came through. They scored 190 for 3 to declare. Jason Niemann, 77. Jerome Bossa carrying on from that 100, scoring 71 in that game, with 3 wickets going to Ntogo Mhlaba for Ntogo Mahlaba of the Limpopo Impalas. And then the Impalas right now are 62 runs away from a victory with 3 wickets in hand. The Linyati need 3 wickets to win. The batsmen who have done it for Limpopo, Alex Pillay with a 57 opener, Lerato Khuatle, who was noted as a CSA Provincial Player of the Year nominee or winner, I think either last year or a year before, or like just one step down from Provincial. I think he's playing for Limpopo, 60 for 92. Malcolm Norfall, 71 off 155 right now, not out, with Ntogo Mahlaba, 31 or 57. They're chasing down that total. But also in the bowling perspective, Gideon Peters of Eastern Cape, 3 for 42. Thomas Kaber again, 2 for 85. And Nonlela Yika, 1 for 36. Where do you think this game is going? Do you think the Linyati can pull it through?
I think so. I think they will at the end. It looks like it could go either way, but I think they will. Just on the couple of the performances there, been a huge fan of Kaber for 3 or 4 years now. I think he's one of those guys that probably should have played a lot more franchise cricket. I remember him playing for the Warriors a few years ago, and I was very surprised that he was left out a couple of years ago and stopped playing there. But I'm really glad to see him back. We had a huge admirer of his. And just on Jerome Bossa there, as we spoke about the importance of giving these 2 division guys exposure. So this game, he scored both his highest scores. His highest score in first class cricket before this was 50, and he's bettered that in both innings. This is his first game in this new structure. So he played five semi-professional games before this. So hopefully one for the future.
Yes, and essentially, obviously, you're looking. There's no promotion relegation this year, but obviously the players are looking for better contracts, better exposure, playing against better players in Division 1. I would have liked a little bit of an interdivisional, some sort of a game somewhere in the weeks where they can test their skills against maybe even the team in their own area. But I know that that's logistically a nightmare for CSA, so that's fine. But yeah, very well done to them. As you said, Tim, the Western Cape game is a draw. Both captains shaking hands, largely because of the rain that's happening around Cape Town. So that's a look. VP haven't lost the game, so take that as a win. Because this is a team that has struggled to win games for over 3 years. They managed to win one at the end of last season. So that's an interesting one. Well done. But now, Tim, let's look forward to the week, to the new fixtures at the end of the week. You've got the Warriors taking on the Lions in Tabeja, formerly known as Port Elizabeth. The Northwest Dragons taking on the iTech Knights and Potch. You've got the Rocks taking on the Six-Gun Western Province in some sort of a Western Cape derby in Paarl. And then you have the Momentum Multiplied Titans taking on the Hollywood Bets Dolphins and Centurion. The other games to look out for in Division 2 at the bottom, the Six-Gun Grill Southwestern Districts open up their campaign with the Mpumalanga Rhinos in Oudtshoorn. So too, the Northern Cape Heat open their campaign against the winners of the first game in Division 2, being the Hollywood Bets Tuskers in Kimberley. That's going to be quite an interesting one. And you've got the Eastern Storm taking on the Limpopo Impala in Benoni. Looking at those 4 fixtures at the top, Tim, Which ones are you more interested in seeing? I know the Western Cape Derby is a key one, but that one at the bottom, for me, the Titans against the Dolphins is going to be massive, a repeat of the former franchise final.
For me, we can chat about that one, fine. But for me, it's the Cape Derby, of course. Of course, I can't look beyond that. Look, the Titans. Yeah, I'd be surprised if the Titans beat the Dolphins. I know it's a Titans homeland, but I'd be surprised. I wasn't impressed with the Titans as a unit. Yes, they had a few good performances as a whole from individuals, but they don't seem to be playing as a unit, which worries me for them. I think they need to make changes to that 11. I know Okukile Chile is injured, which is a huge loss. I think if they
I saw
played
that
him,
Dan Kalim was opening the bowling in that second innings, and that was just really
yeah,
disappointing. That
if
really
they had him, exactly. If they had him, it might have been a different result this weekend. It might have been different. But if they can make a change there, I think they need to make a change from a Titans perspective. And then the local derby is screaming out at me, just saying
it screams draw to me. It screams draw. Both bowling attacks are not that great. One team's batting lineup is stronger than the other. I.e., the Rocks are better than the Province, but like both bowling attacks don't give me much confidence right now.
I hope it's not a par flat track. Yeah. Recent years the pitch has been better. It's been better. It's offered more to the pace bowler. Not massively, but it has offered more. It's not quite as flat as it used to be. So I'm hoping it's not going to be a draw. I'm hoping for a result there. And then the Division 2. Really looking forward to seeing what SWD do. Okay, they're gonna beat Mpumalanga. I'm sorry, Mpumalanga, but that's going to happen.
And the Rhinos have lost Ruben Herman, who's on loan to the Dolphins, so that's also a massive loss for them. So that looks like an easy win for Southwestern Districts. Northern Cape are very interesting to see, especially with those two paces, with Evan Jones and also who's that other pacer?
Van Dijk.
Joe Van Dijk. Yeah. I think he's going to be quite interesting to see. Yes, you'll get Kasim Adams. Yes, you'll get Jonathan Vandia. You'll get Rivaldo Munsami, who've all played franchise cricket. So that's going to be quite an interesting one for them against the Tuskers, who I think are a very good young side. The Eastern Storm probably will bounce back against Limpopo. I think they're a lot stronger than Limpopo. But I think for me, Division 1, it's that Warriors-Lions game at the top. I think both teams' bowling attacks are very good. I think both teams' batting lineups are quite good. And you might get a draw out of this one, but it could be quite fascinating to see if the bowlers actually try bring the game closer for both their sides. And I look at that Lions pace attack. I just want to see how they're going to fit in the spinner in there. I know who Ruan Haasbroek played, so that's going to be quite interesting to see. They don't need to use him at the end, but that's what it is. Tim, let's just do this. So I'm just going to put up the fixtures again. Please do check it out. They're all going to be live on SuperSport broadcast, brought to you by Pitch Vision. Tim, we're closing out the show now. Any final words?
Okay, so I was worried that we were going to get nothing of this 4-day service. I even tweeted about it because they left it very last minute. So I'm very, very glad that they got SuperSport and Pitch Vision to work together, because that's what we've been crying out for. We've been crying out that for about 5 years now, that they needed to end this squabbling about this one's got rights and that one's got rights, and come together for the good of the game, for the good of the fans, give us the broadcast. And they've done that, which is really good. So now we now have the ability to see all of the games wherever we are at work, and that's fantastic. So congratulations to everybody for doing that. What I would like going forward is I would like an improvements. Look, we can't stay stagnant. We've got to move forward with the times.
What do you want to
We've got to
see?
move forward. So, this is not the 1990s. So, we need to move forward. So, we need to hear the cricket. We need to hear the cricket. We need to hear the ball on the willow and the ball hitting the boundary, hitting the advertising boards. We need to hear the players' conversations, not conversations, but the chirps. We need to hear the interactions. It adds so much more to the game. I was sitting there, very fortunate, my fortunate position, which the Province game. And look, like I said, happy for Pitch Vision. They do a great job. But something needs to happen, whether they get more money from Cricket South Africa or private investors or somebody to improve the broadcast. So it doesn't necessarily happen this year, but going forward, it must improve. We need to hear that. Ideally, we need commentary. Look, I'm sure Mpho and I would be more than happy to do commentary from time to time for Pitch Vision. I put my name forward. But if not us, it would be really nice to have commentary for the game. So to make it would add something so much better for everybody. And I think the broadcast numbers would go up. I think the broadcast numbers would go up. I looked at the numbers. The numbers were good. In the Titans game, when it was going down to the wire, there was something like 600 people watching. Now that's really, really good. And they were averaging about 70 or 80. But so when there was something to watch, when there was a result was about to happen, the numbers went up. So I'd like to see those numbers go improve, and I'd like improvement. That's all. That's what I'm asking. A little bit of improvement as we go forward. But I'm loving it so far.
Well, I can tell you that we're working on that somehow. We'll try to figure out if we can't get our lovely voices on there. So please do watch the space. Outside of that, that's the end of our show. Our CSA 4-day series weekly show, weekly wrap up. You can call this a magazine show, whatever it is. But yeah, so everybody, well done to the teams that won. Commiserations to the teams that lost, to the teams that drew. Oh, well, they say it's like kissing your sister, so I'm not going to say anything about that. All I'm going to say is next week comes up. Week 2 starts on Friday. Please do check it out on the Supersport platform. Really awesome through Pitch Vision. And let's see how that goes. All the best to the teams. Now, this is the moment where people are going to separate themselves. Remember, they only have 7 games this season, so you need to start well in order to keep yourself in it until you get to February where the final is going to be held. So thank you very much, Tim. And yeah, have a great time. We'll be back. Do watch out for us. We're going to do the preview show for whenever the Proteas play. So tonight we're going to do a preview show for Bangladesh for the game tomorrow, as well as on Friday, I beg your pardon, I'm going to do a preview show for the big one against England, which is effectively a quarterfinal for the Proteas to go through, unless they want to lose tomorrow. But I don't think they will. So until then, have a great time and good night, goodbye, and lesale kakahiso.